Yards. With Steve Hellwagon, straight in the back.
Way in the back. Lincoln Keenholz has thrown 8 passes this year. Are you convinced he's ready? What do you guys do to keep him ready? And at the end of a game, can he make it throw something?
Yeah, we were trying to get him in the game here. We wanted to get a stop and then get out there and get him some reps. I thought obviously the one rep he had, he did a great job with. But we're working him every day in practice and we're getting him ready the best we can. And when the situation arises, yeah, we'd love to get him in the game.
Go to Stefan right over here to the right.
Talking yesterday about some of the running backs, just how young they are and the experience they're gaining. We talked about Bo, kind of the injury he had in his high school experience. How much kind of catching up did he have to do early on, and when did you kind of really start to get the sense that he's got a chance to impact as a freshman? Because I know you said in the spring in practice it's kind of hard to tell something.
I think we really started to figure that out in the first few games. As we started to get on the field and you saw him, split a couple runs, and we saw it in practice and saw what he could do. And, we felt like his athleticism and what he could do. When he was a young player, in our camp, we saw, him run routes. We saw him, catch the ball. We saw him just, run. I think that we had really good times on him, and he came from a great program. And so, we felt really good about him. And then he wasn't able to play as much his senior year and played some, but so once he got in here, it was good to get him in here early to get him indoctrinated and everything. And then we kind of say by the time you get to the summer, you're not a freshman anymore. And then from there, it's kind of just growing every week. But it's been good to see him grow each week, get stronger each week, get more and more confidence. So now is we really need him to turn it on.
Joe Nugent.
It's a rare November home night game. You guys excited about playing this one under the lights?
Yeah. Anytime it's a night game, it's exciting, and I think we have some good recruits in, so which is great. Should have a great crowd. We've had great crowds this year, and so it should be a great atmosphere. Yeah, we're certainly looking forward to it.
Andy Andrews right here.
But yesterday when we were talking about even more, you mentioned that it's good when you're not noticing a tackle. Defensively, it feels like similar things can be said about the cornerback. And I know Jermaine's a guy who's had some big plays too, only been targeted 24 times. Do you get the feeling that he's really kind of taking away his matchup in the games, and you don't notice him because he's just kind of taking away his guy?
Well, if you don't notice him, just listen for a little while in the field. You'll hear him. He's a guy that certainly brings a certain level of energy to the table every day. He's a competitor. He's playing well. He's played some corner. He's played some nickel this year and had the big pick last week, which was great. He's playing good football, and he's obviously very confident. But somebody that just it's just the way he is. He brings that to the field every day when he comes out here. He's consistent with his energy. So he's a guy that we all look to for that juice every day, and he certainly brings it on game day as well. And I think now that he's consistently playing over a full season and a body of work, he's coming out here and expecting to have success every time he does.
And right next to him, Dover Biddles.
Julian's life has changed a lot in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
The anonymous then, it can be a big deal being an Ohio State quarterback.
Yep.
How have you seen him change or not change? How's he handled this notoriety?
I think I mentioned this before when Julian got here. I felt like Julian and his family always just had the mindset that this was going to happen for them and him. And, spending time with mom and sister and just early on, they got him set up and felt like, he was somebody that, has friends and has a social, presence, but not really much, a little bit here and there, but really wanted to make sure that he set him up where he was, in a place where, he could kind of, be by himself. And I think that because of all that, now that this has all happened to him fast, it's been easy for him to deal with that. Billy does a great job talking to him. I've had conversations with him about on the front end of what this could be and now what it is. And I've seen him be consistent. I think he shows that same demeanor that you see on the field, off the field, and he's got a great support system in place. So, excited to see him now finish off the season the right way and stay focused.
We'll do 2 more. Austin.
Ryan, you were talking about the execution on the red zone play with Lincoln yesterday. CJ had the lead block there. I'm wondering if there's any possibility that he was a great lead blocker. If he could do
do some fullback stuff from you. It hasn't felt like the Nate Roberts stuff has been perfect. Not a coach, but could CJ do some of that for you down the road?
Yeah, I think he could. Some of those collisions are heavy collisions, but I do think some of the stuff that we've done with Max. If you saw some of the stuff where he's kind of inserting in there, they're not as direct hits. I think that he could do that. But you saw CJ do a little bit of that. He has a little bit of a background in that anyway. So we're pretty healthy in the tight end room just in terms of depth. So we haven't gone down that road. However, we have talked about that many times, and we've actually drilled some of those things for CJ. If those situations come up. So it's good to have versatile guys like that who are big and strong.
Last question, Tim May.
Yeah, Ryan, last time Matt Rhodes, the commission chair for the college football playoff, basically intimated there's definitely a debate between Indiana, Texas A&M, and run them down the board. But when it comes to Ohio State, y'all would consider a cut above. He's a complete offensive and defensive line playing extremely well. Your skill guys, your line, yada, yada, yada. What do you see when you look at this team right now, going into Saturday, and what can you see can be better?
Well, the first thing is that everybody has to understand, players, coaches, everybody, how exact, how on point we have to be, and that's every week. And the teams that we're playing now and the teams that we're playing in the future. Well, we got to be good, and that's going to take great energy. It's going to take great finish. It's going to take great focus. I mean, it's going to take everything we got to get there. And so it's one thing to say, okay, we've done X, Y, and Z up until this point, but that means absolutely nothing, like zero. We've done nothing. So I understand everyone's got to talk about those things, but none of that has anything to do with what we're doing moving forward. So if we think that has anything to do with this weekend or where we're going, then we're dead wrong. So we have to make sure we all understand that, and it's my job to make sure I remind the team, the players and coaches included, how good we got to be. And so that's really more the message than anything. I think the good news is we have a chance, and that's good. And we said this from the beginning. We want to be the first team ever to be back to back, and that's a tall task. It's easy to say, it's another thing to do. And so we're in the middle of it right now, but got a lot of work to do, and we got to continue to stay focused on what matters.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.